Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Oh, here we are, reunited.
Yes.
It's been a long time.
Oh, it has been, yes.
You helped hold down the fort in my absence.
Exactly.
I thank you. Wonderful shows. You know, are you getting a bug to maybe have a show of your own?
No.
Not? Really?
No, well, no, I don't know. I'd have to think about what would be the... I mean, you have...
No, it can be any. I don't have politics.
No, I realize
it can be
that.
anything.
Well, no, but that's your major focus.
Whatever the mood.
No, I know, but I don't know if I did, maybe it would be like culture and literary, but then I would have to critique various things in town.
Everybody would hate your guts.
Oh, that'd be fabulous.
Yeah.
You know, I remember there was, before my time, well, no, she was still in Chicago, but there was this famous woman, and now the minute I said it, it'll come to me, who was this critic for the Chicago Tribune in the 1950s, Claudia Cassidy.
Okay.
And she did theater, she did opera. I'm not sure if she did symphonic music. I think she did a little bit of movies. But she was still around as this grande dame. And she would become... This is Claudia Cassidy. Many people think that the play Othello by William Shakespeare is a great drama, perhaps the greatest drama of all Shakespearean plays, perhaps the greatest drama of all. You would not know it from the performance I saw the other night. And it would be those sort of... And many people felt she, for maybe a decade, ruined Chicago theater because she was so powerful that no one wanted to come up against her poison pen.
Well, do you think she was constantly negative, or was she
Well,
fair?
she was a lot, but she was one of these people who was... She had once seen the best Othello in 1942 in Dresden, just after the war, when American troops stationed there, but who knew Shakespeare, gave it. And in the light of the war being over, the passion of the play just imbued us all with, that sort of thing, like, oh, really?
Get over it.
It's like one's first stop. Nothing will ever equal it.
Oh, that is so not true.
Well, that's what they say. I don't know.
Oh, my God.
Oh. Well, now, Lynn... For those of you who didn't...
Invariably horrible.
Who didn't see her wild ride, she could tell us all about...
Whoa, jeez. Maybe for men, your first...
No, that's what people say.
Women in general, horrible.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting a...
Our producer, Celine,
I think it is a rarity for a woman to have enjoyed her introduction to sexual congress.
To connubial bliss.
Yes. God! You're thinking, what the fuck?
This is what I've been waiting for?
What?
On to the nunnery.
What?
You know what's very funny about connubial bliss and nunneries and first times? On Friday, I wish you had been there, the Warhol Museum had consigned to bring the actress Isabella Rossellini, daughter of Ingrid Bergman, to town.
Love her.
And it's funny, I must say, I sat reasonably close. She still looks...
She's gorgeous.
She's got to be my age.
She's gorgeous.
Mid-60s.
Yeah.
But anyway, she has had no plastic surgery, they said, and something. Anyway, she had done this piece in Europe and then had put it away And someone said, "Oh, come and do it in America." So I think she did Los Angeles and then Warhol Museum.
You're winning the belching thing.
I know, but
I said I'm belching 11. My God.
Anyway,
well, geez,
and her piece was called Green Porno. And the idea was that she had no college education, she told us, but that she, immediately became a model and was a model for 21 years, and she loved it. But then when she became a bit older, given what beauty is about in this world, she was dumped, so to speak. So then she wanted to go back and get her education, so she did, and she had always been interested in animals. So she went and was majoring in biology, and it became clearer that what she was interested in was the procreation of animals, and how many animals, like human beings, it's male and female having intercourse, or call it what you will, mating, and then comes issue. But there are variations on this. And
so her interest was animal sex?
Yes, animal sex. So anyway, then she started doing these little films, which were so funny, where she would appear in really childish kind of costumes, sort of Sesame Street, saying, "I am a ladybug, and this is how we mate." And then there'd be stuffed ladybugs coming and trying to hump her, so to speak. But when they get to it, I mean, she told funny stories, because, of course, there are certain animals that only the females mate, and they only make female issue.
That's true.
Like the arachnid spider. Then there are other kind of worms that self-procreate.
Wow.
And etc.
Go fuck yourself.
Well, yeah, right. Touche. Shouldn't say that. She was too much of a lady. But anyway, she did have a funny story about horny dolphins. And I almost yelled out, "You should have heard Lynn Cullen a few nights ago."
There are so many stories about horny dolphins.
But
I mean,
the best one
clear.
of all, though, I thought, some people like the dolphin ones. And some people I saw had seen your show. So they said, well, Lynn ran, equal with what's her name. But my favorite were ducks, because she told us that ducks have particularly large, the male duck. Is that a gander? I'm not sure. Or is that
no,
just
that's
geese?
A goose.
Well, whatever. Mallard is maybe the male.
Yeah, maybe.
Male. All right. Well, the mallard duck, let's say, has particularly large and like
a corkscrew
pizzle.
Well, I believe dolphins have a corkscrew.
Oh, really? Okay. Didn't you see?
I was so traumatized. I didn't know what the hell I was looking at.
But then the more interesting thing was, she said, well, recently they've been talking about, what was that guy's name? Was it Missouri? About legitimate rape?
Yeah, Todd Aiken.
Todd Aiken. Well, she said, well, that's true with ducks.
Oh,
because
really?
ducks are very horny. But if the lady duck doesn't feel the alpha mallard has come to stop her.
She has a way of stopping.
No, not stopping it, but she, redirects his penis into another, labyrinth turn of her vagina. So she was there dressed up like a duck, and these ducks were coming, and she'd say, "Oh, no, you go to the left. Oh, no, you go to the right." And then the alpha duck came in, and she said, "Whoa, you go right in." It was hilarious. And part of this pizzle business is because it has to circumvent all of these labyrinthian concatenations.
So cool.
But I thought to myself afterward, unless you were the most conservative person in the world, this really would have been good for high school kids or even middle school kids, because, there was a little tee naughtiness, but...
high school kids would love that.
Well, right, but it did... I learned a lot about certain animals. And then she did another funny skit where she talked about Noah, and she was Noah for a moment. They showed her on the screen. All right, 2 hippos. Very good. Oh, 2 giraffes. Very good. What are you 2 lady arachnids doing there? Oh, sir, we don't need... It was great.
So, wow. Then when was that? Just the other night?
Friday. It was packed house.
Oh, wow. Lynn, just wanted to say Tom's solo shows were very good.
Oh, how nice.
And I enjoyed them. I tend to think of him as an artsy type of fellow, but his knowledge of current events and other more serious topics was very evident during his solo shows. Just wanted to say, good job.
Thank you.
And that's from Henry.
Oh, I love Henri Cartier. Send me a piece of jewelry, Henri. No, thank you very much.
That he's related.
Well, he might be.
So I was getting a scan at the hospital yesterday, and the guy who was putting me inside the thing says, "So I really just loved your uncle."
Meaning me? Oh.
I didn't know what he meant. I said, "What? My uncle?" He said, "Yeah, I just loved him on TV the whole time I was growing."
Oh, Bill. Is he still alive?
No, he's not alive. Celine wouldn't even know this guy.
No.
There was a game show host named Bill Cullen, and he was from...
This area?
This area. He was from here.
One of these chisel... but he had glasses.
No. And he had polio, so he had a bum leg.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He wasn't chiseled. He sort of was nerdy looking, I think.
Well,
or am I thinking of Betty White's husband?
I didn't know who Betty White's husband was.
He did Passwords.
Oh, yes. No, what was his name? Yes. He had white hair and very black horns and glasses.
Yeah, and he seemed very...
what was his name?
What was his name? Okay, this is the Tom and Lynn show.
But this is many years ago, though, my dear. This was not just 10 years ago. That was many years ago that show was on Password. I bet early 70s it stopped.
Well, he was just so unhappy when I told him that Bill Cullen and I were not related.
Which show was Bill Cullen? Was he?
I can't remember it.
Not Price is Right. That was that other one.
Oh, who the hell knows?
Well, here's another old one for you. Dorothy Kilgallen.
Oh, I loved her, except she had no chin. She scared me because she had no chin at all. She had no chin. There was a lowered lip, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, with Dorothy Kilgallen,
Arlene
Francis, and sometimes
Bennett
her schmuzzy husband with the round, fat head.
Bennett Cerf. There's Bill Cullen.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was sort of chisel-chinned. He wasn't nerdy. Yeah, Bennett Cerf, and there was someone else.
Oh, who was the host of Betty White's husband?
I can see his Alan something.
Funt?
Alan Funt.
No, that's Cameron. What?
Former spouse or current spouse?
No,
former.
Dick Barker.
No.
Alan Ludden.
Alan Ludden.
That's right. But, sometimes, what's her name, when one of them couldn't do the show, was the woman who then became the New York State arts woman.
Bess Meyerson.
No. She was on that, too. No, the woman, Kitty Carlisle.
Oh, yes, of course.
She became...
the widow of Moss Hart.
Moss Hart, yeah, exactly. Now, talking about stooping, he was always stooping boys. I have my own Kitty Carlisle story.
Christ.
When she was Commissioner of Culture, and she was great, because often in those kinds of positions, when you're a sort of grand dame or an artist, politicians don't listen to you
Can I just
all.
say something that you're going to get mad at me?
All right. What?
You know how sometimes when you have glasses on, they fog up?
Oh, well, I'm talking about passion. I'm sitting next to you.
You're fogged right here.
Yeah, sometimes that is. I don't know. Maybe.
And you're fogged right there.
I think
and every
they
time
must
I look at you,
close to my a pulse point or something.
Here, just wipe that off so I can look at you and not just see fog.
But anyway, when Kitty Carlisle Hart was chairman of the New York State Council for the Arts, she was great because she was very elderly, but she was very much, not so much from her career, but New York high society.
Right.
So she could swan into these meetings, and they would just give her what she wanted. So one time, there was a performance. You know who the Blue Men group is?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Well, when they first started, they gave a performance for the new museum, which at that point...
Why did my thing just go off? Huh?
Is it going off?
Yeah, what happened? You just did something over there, and I lost my
Are you
headset.
loose in the clit?
What?
In the clit on the cleat.
Jesus Christ!
What a dirty mind!
What are you? Just
you said that.
I didn't say anything. I said
no, but
I'm
the cleats where the thing goes.
No, God!
You have a dirty mind, my dear. I had no double entendre suggested there.
Just so people can hear this, right. I'm having.
Anyway.
I'm not hearing anything here. So it's
oh dear.
mess with it.
We're on Mars.
I don't
can
know.
hear all
Are
of
you guys hearing anything? God forbid.
Yeah, really. We have loose parts. Anyway, so we were sitting there at this benefit performance for the new museum of the Blue Man Group, and Kitty came. And Kitty would always, because she had to go to 800 things every night, she'd come for a bit. And she'd say, oh, I can stay for a bit. And the director, who was a friend, and myself, we're sort of the same age, but Kitty was maybe 25,
Oh, my God.
40 years
She lived
older.
to be 120.
No, 96, I think. But anyway, at that point, she was in her late 80s.
And
I
she
think.
looked damn good.
Oh, she looked fabulous. And she would always wear her jewels because well, I'll tell you that story in just a second. But so at one point, the Blue Men Group, part of their thing was that because they didn't speak, they would often blow, spit, pour things on people. So at one point, they were eating this bowl of Rice Krispies, because Snap, Crackle, Pop, or whatever those things are called. And they were doing that, and they ate, 8 pounds of it, and nothing was there. And then all of a sudden, this one guy, one of the blue people, smacked the stomach of the eater, and he spit. Well, we were in the first row. And poor Kitty was right in the middle, and poor Kitty with her black lace and her diamonds was covered with milk and whatever, and banana slices too. So we sat there, we thought, oh my God, Kitty, we're not going to get any money for it. And we were sort of wiping her off, and then there was intermission. And she said, oh, children, don't worry. More important people have spit on me than the Blue Man Group. But the side story to that is she always dressed beautifully. She had an ongoing rivalry, although it was a very funny one and positive one, with Mrs. Astor, because they were friends.
Okay.
And Mrs. Astor always felt that because she was Jacob Astor's widow, and many millions of dollars.
So these are two 90-year-old women.
That she felt that when she went out, both when he was still alive and she was very young, although she married him when he was much older, that it was important for her to be Mrs. John Jacob Astor. So when she would go to places where the beneficence of the Astor Fund was extended, like to Harlem or Spanish Harlem, whatever.
She expected to be the grande
Well,
dame.
no, they expected her. It wasn't that she wanted to be swan about, but she said people want to see Mrs. Astor. They don't want to see Mrs. Astor in a jumpsuit and running shoes. So she would appear, and when the two of them would be at something together, they'd all check out one of those diamonds. Oh, you glitter more than I do, dear Kitty. Oh, I don't need to because you are the great jewel, Mrs. Astor. Oh, my young friend. Because right now, this repartee was hilarious. But
they liked each
New York,
other.
yeah, but New York has never seen grand ladies or jewels like that ever again.
Well, it's all right already. Will you take a breath? Thank you. Shit.
Excuse me.
Man.
All right, we're healthy now.
We are not. And is everybody hearing this? Just somebody say yes, okay? Because there's been strange audio things going on.
I can hear you. You're not screeching as loud as you normally do.
I don't care if you can hear. You can hear
up.
because you're just yapping away like a crazy person. Okay.
Well, then throw something serious our way.
No, I was
going
to
do fat pigs?
Ferguson stuff. Let's not do the pigs. Oh, here's some. Well, this is boring. Well, I won't do that.
All right.
Good news. It's good news, but it's boring. My big bugaboo about.
Sound good on here.
What?
You're all good on here.
Okay. About computers and stuff and artificial intelligence and how we're all going. It just drives me crazy that we're heading into a future in which we will serve the machines as opposed to them serving us. And more stuff is being. I've been saying this for years, and people have been saying, you're a Luddite, you're an idiot. More and more research is coming out in support of me. I want to just give you two things.
Well, what first gave you this inkling?
My son.
Okay. You mean because of the way he...
No, my son, when he was...
so diligent to...
No. When he was young, he might have been 7, 8, 9, I don't know what he was. He actually seriously said to me one day, and at the time I laughed, but because I thought it was such a funny line. I repeated it a number of times, so it stayed in my head. And the more I saw the world, this new brave world unfolding, the more I thought, he was right. And what he had said to me was,
what spake he?
Mom, you're lucky. You're not ever going to have to live under robot overlords.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
wait.
Okay.
Okay, so I think we're obviously heading there. Okay,
well, you know, it's very interesting. Just a quick general public, then we'll get to you specifically. There's a TV show was on last night. It's on Tuesdays, and it's called Person of Interest.
Yeah.
And the premise of it, as I bring it up, this fellow has created this system, this computer. It's called Samaritan. And the idea is that it watches the world, every single person in the world. And if it sees Celine about to be attacked and I'm about to attack her, it can send something there to save me, her from me. So it's a very good thing. Like it's like a guardian angel, so to speak, and hence Samaritan, the name. Well, it gets subverted in like the second episode, the second series of the show, where now it's just looking at everyone for everything. Like it looks at Celine like, I know who she slept with. I know where her bank accounts is. I know that her friend is a former SDSer. And then it goes to, and it's very interesting. And then what comes in that episode is the government now says, "Ooh, you have this thing. We want it because we want to be the ones to control Samaritan." But now they even can't. So it's, or HAL, how many years ago in...
okay. Well, this is exactly it. But can I give you some facts?
Conjoining, yeah.
Okay, this is from the Wall Street Journal. Worrisome evidence suggests that our own intelligence is withering as we become more dependent on the artificial intelligence variety. Rather than lifting us up, smart software seems to be dumbing us down. And I can understand that immediately because where you used to have to use your head, now you just bang.
Well, it's funny. All right. All right.
If we were to do a word count thus far on this program,
on this
which, by the way,
not over
is the Lynn Cullen show, I haven't gotten a goddamn word in,
Hardly.
So shut the F up.
All right, fine. I won't say any more.
Okay, so back in the you can nod.
Oh, thank you.
Your glasses are steaming up again.
It's your lusty whatever, my dear. Get on with it.
All right. So, when automation came into the factory floor, everybody said, this is in the pretty much in the 50s. Oh man, this is going to free people up to blah, blah, blah. This is so great for the workers. And then they started studying what it had done to factory workers. And the fact is those automated machines were leaving the humans who used to do that work with less demanding jobs, repetitive jobs, mind-numbing jobs, drabber jobs. So some guy who used to work in a milling machine, who used to be a metal worker, he didn't become all of a sudden a more creative artisan. In fact, he became the opposite. It just turned him to somebody who pushed buttons.
I'm asking. I'm not interrupting. I'm raising a hand to comment on what you just said.
Make it quick.
No, I was just going to say, I think that's false logic. Because for every person, because when they say repetitive jobs, those people who stamped out bombs during the World War, don't tell me that they weren't just stamping part 1 into part 2 for 3.5 years. That's not creative. So
okay. Okay, so you know more, just like that, of a Harvard Business School professor named Professor Bright.
There are more than one opinion, my darling.
Yes. So he concluded that the overriding effect of automation was to essentially de-skill workers, not to upskill workers. So highly complex equipment did not require skilled operators. The skill can be built into the machine. And that's what automation was. And now the skill being built into the machine, it did the factory floor already. All those jobs are gone. Those people are gone. They used to be middle class. Now they're, trying desperately not to be destitute. And now, of course, it's come for the white-collar workers who thought it would never get to them. So as computers now take over all kinds of what used to be absolutely you needed a human, let's just go to pilots, right? Now, we know that pilots, the guys who, when you get on a jet...
fall asleep, get drunk.
They do. And you know why? Because they don't have anything to do up there anymore.
Okay, but a machine do it better.
The planes fly themselves. Here's what has become known. That if you do not practice what you know how to do, you lose the ability. So there have been studies now where pilots who regularly, just get in and push the buttons and then fall asleep, if asked to deal with a simulated emergency situation, they don't do so well anymore.
That makes sense.
That's scary. And when you look at some of the crashes, the fatal crashes that have occurred in the last 8 years, there's a lot of them that were because all of a sudden pilots who were used to the plane flying themselves had to deal with something and they didn't know, they screwed up.
However, now, do I get a paragraph?
Maybe.
No, I'm just going to say, I see what you're saying, and I don't on one level disagree, but on the same level, I would suggest that what has happened is a lot of the training, whether it's union or non-union, hasn't changed. They sort of, the pilots had to do blah, 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 1954. And I would bet that the preponderance of what they do in 1954 in their training manuals and their internships or whatever hasn't changed. It hasn't been rewritten yet to deal with this new automation.
It is, if we realize that what is happening is all of this automation and artificial intelligence is actually making us less skilled and dumber and more reliant on machinery, then there are ways where we could say that, okay, we're going to start designing this software now to allow us some measure of challenge. And here's, again, much more research. It is known that human skill gets better, sharper, only through practice. Right? I mean, come on. We know that. And not just practice, but when we use these skills to overcome unexpected and different kinds of challenges. Increasingly, the machines we're now relying on take that opportunity away from us until the moment they don't.
Something catastrophic
and then something catastrophic happens. So it is well known now, and there's been studies done, that doctors rely too much now on records, and they take all this stuff, the electronic records, and we're all being treated as some kind of just generalized human instead of, this is Tom Sokolowski. He varies from Lynn Cullen. And so they're losing their ability to look at us as individual human beings. And I just think this stuff, if we, here's what this guy ends up by saying, if we let our own skills fade by relying too much on automation, we are going to render ourselves less capable, less resilient, and more subservient to these machines.
Well,
how can you possibly argue with
that? Wait, I'm going to maybe not argue, but give a counter view to this. I remember, I guess it was last time I was here, was speaking with Celine, and she has a friend who was an emergency room doctor. And we were talking about the fact of that this fellow is very good at this and likes this. He likes these last immediate challenges. Other people would be, although good doctors, very good. They'd rather be podiatrists and take calluses off you. But I don't mean that as an insult to podiatrists.
No, but he likes the challenge.
He likes the challenge in his mind and his adrenaline rush and all that business, his background, his genes, his training. So to say that anyone could do what he does is a lot of baloney. And so my point,
but
my point is, I think, what we are in the process of, the big machine, what do you call it, looking over a Samaritan, what have you, that pushes the envelope too much, because I think what we're in a parabola of doing is trying to sort of tesserate, put the mosaic chips together in a different way, try to create a different caste systems, because there was always a caste system.
Here's something.
Wait a minute. Let me. I'm talking, and then you.
Yeah. Who sets the rules here? I'm talking, and then you get to.
All right, I'll just leave now. No, but I think we're not where we're going to be. Let's just put it that way.
Of course we're not. We're always moving.
But we can look at any moment in history where this kind of argument could be made.
Yes, but you have to admit, things have gotten really strange. Things are different, and things are moving at such a high speed that we, little humans, are having trouble keeping up and adjusting. And see, you made me forget what I wanted to say.
You finished the last thing, you read it.
No, but I was going to say something to what you were saying, and you won't let me talk.
Important. Oh, baloney.
Oh, God, I'm going to kill him.
Well, finish.
You know what? Here's a good sign, Tom.
Yes.
I must be feeling better.
Yeah, because you're getting cranky.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just on that point. No, wait. We both have been ill.
No!
Would you want us to go in and tell the doctors how to fix your appendicitis?
But I don't even want to get into this, but the fact is my life got saved a month ago by a doctor who discounted what the effing machine was telling him.
I agree with that.
He said, I've got a hunch.
Right.
And later, 2 other doctors told me if he hadn't had a hunch, you likely could have been dead.
Good.
So we rely on these damn machines.
But I would say cream rises to the top. That good doctor is doing what he's doing because he has that awareness of when to go past just simply quantifiable
And I would argue
things.
that in medical schools now, more and more younger doctors are learning how to manipulate machines, even to the point. And here's something as an artiste that you would appreciate.
I'm not an artiste. I'm an art historian, but anyway.
Architecture.
Yes.
Increasingly, architects are relying on machines.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Well,
would you rather someone spend 85 hours designing the rec room to your house where they can use a computer and do it in 2 hours and get the same result?
But pretty soon, believe me, architects, I remember even when I started in television and the art department, the people who made things that would go on to enhance, or a graphic or this and that, they really had to be artists. They had to know what they were doing. They had to do this.
Different skill sets.
Okay. In the course of 10 years, they ceased to be artists and instead learned how to manipulate computers to do certain
The computer is the new pencil.
Yeah, right. Okay,
yeah.
So listen.
I mean, have you seen any of the new fabulous animated films? Frozen, or I haven't, but these people say are so wonderful.
Sure.
Well, are you saying those are any less than Mickey Mouse?
Why are you assuming that everything I'm saying is like set in stone and there are
that's how you're proposing it. We're being taken over by the machines. We're going to be made useless. We're going to be in shackles.
Okay, rest assured. Okay, so here's another thing, and this was in the New York Times. Here's what's going to happen. Robots will start making other robots. Why?
I think they probably are already.
Yeah, they probably are already. So once you have robots manufacturing other robots, and let's even bring it down further, nanobot. These little teeny weenies, and they are self-replicating like nuts. They are microscopic, and they are designed, perhaps, to make copies of themselves. Now, here's where we think these are the greatest things in the world. You can swallow one of these things instead of having a cold. Go down, take pictures of every part of your body, come back out the other side.
And it's clearer and more exact and less obtrusive.
It's just incredible what, what these nanobots can do.
Yeah.
But
they're soon to be marching down Smithfield Street with our little toothpicks to get us. These nano robots.
This is assuming that the world is full of wonderful people, all with good intent.
There've always been schnooks and monsters.
Fine. So, a person of malicious intent in possession of this technology might literally be able to cause the extinction of all life on Earth. I mean, you could. Okay.
Push the button,
Okay.
Sure.
So this guy who's writing this says, now, lest you think I'm some scaredy, I'm not alone. Silicon Valley's big futurist, Elon Musk, you've surely heard of.
Yeah.
He recently said this. Now I'm going to quote Mr. Musk. Artificial intelligence is potentially more dangerous than nukes. Okay? So stop bitching at me when I'm trying to, be a little Paul Revere here. The nanobots are coming! The nanobots are coming! Stephen Hawking, supposedly one of the smartest people on the earth, wrote this. Successful artificial intelligence would be the biggest event in human history. Unfortunately, it could well also be the last.
If there wasn't extreme science or whatever, Stephen Hawking would no longer be alive, number one. And number two, still talking and still using...
Why are you so little with your fogged up rosy colored glasses?
No, it's not that.
Why? I'm not saying that positives don't come out of this stuff. I'm saying we're blissfully ignoring the negatives.
We are not blissfully... Listen... there was just something on 60 Minutes, so of course it was true. You're quoting the Times, I'm quoting 60 Minutes. And it was about, the doomsday button.
Yeah.
And they showed that when the President of the United States, President Obama at the moment, pushes the red button, there then have to be 62 different people who say, is that really the right button? Is that really the president? It happens quickly. And then 2 people in the silo down in Omaha, or wherever it is, where the thing is, that shoots up.
Who, by the way, have been found to be asleep. Did you read that big scandal? The guys with their I know.
And then someone has to check It just doesn't happen like Malia goes in there and say, "Oh, what's the red button, Daddy? Push!" And all of a sudden, Kiev is gone.
In the 60s and 70s, they were making great movies like Dr. Strangelove,
right?
And about
Hasn't happened.
Well, right, because if it had, we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation.
But the point is, there's been a lot of nutcases from Castro to Nixon to Khrushchev, who could have set off to some of the Panamanian people, and it hasn't.
Here's what also Musk and Hawking were worrying about. Just passing this on, guys.
All right.
In our more near future, so right around the corner, is that we are actually starting to create machines that can make decisions like humans.
Right.
But there's one thing they still can't do. They can't make decisions and filter it through morality.
Neither can some people.
Well, that's true. That's true. But machines.
Yeah, that's true.
If there's anything that still allows us to be able to call ourselves human, it's that we can have this moral construct.
But the issue there, Lynn, and I'm really serious about this, that is subjective. A Nazi's view of what was moral was not. No, but come on. Those were very smart people.
You're all going off on these tangents that don't have to do with my main...
No, it has to do with the main point. You're saying about morality, and from your observation there, morality is canonic. We all agree on...
I'm not saying all Americans, all humans have a good moral construct. They might have one. A machine, though, doesn't have
Well, if we program it in...
Wait.
That's the big issue. When will the machine, what I've read and all these things, when will the machine, and it doesn't at the moment, have enough kind of what we would call subjective experiences on which to build, I should shoot this person or I shouldn't shoot this person, to just say, okay, I'm about to be killed, my children are going to be killed, I got to shoot this person, and I morally think that's the right thing to do. They're not at that point yet. When do they get to that point? And the issue is people are debating if they ever will, if the machine is ever going to be able to, because we make some wrong decisions. I mean, V-Day Ferguson. Should that cop have shot the guy or not? Many people think the decision was the right one. Many people are very angry about it.
Well, you know what? Then let's stop having human cops. Let's have robot cops. Won't robot cops do a better job? Huh? I'm asking.
Well, I don't know.
Well, if we program them properly, they won't see skin color.
Yeah,
they won't.
right.
Okay, they won't have all those human emotions getting in their way. Okay, so let's have robot cops. That might be a good, very, very good thing. But also, these concerns are that once we build systems that are every bit as intelligent as we are, not to mention more, in that they can find the information like this, these intelligent machines will themselves be able to build more intelligent machines.
Well, that's fair. When do they take over the leading role?
But this is not just some crazy sci-fi fear anymore. So experts say, scientists say, that is when things could really spiral out of control, as the rate of growth and expansion of machines would increase exponentially. And then we, humans, can't build safeguards into something that we are not building ourselves.
Right.
Okay. The other thing
I think that's the most important point you've made. Namely that I will agree that part of my argument is that those safeguards are here. And that what the last thing you read was that that at some point are they going to be able to countermand that? And because I guess my view would be is I still believe we are still in charge. And the question becomes, when are we not? I guess I am enough of the belief and enough of an optimist to think that we always are going to be one step ahead of them. Maybe not in an obvious, traditional way.
I think that's our downfall. I think that is classic human hubris and pride going before the fall. Oh, we'll always be able to keep a handle on this. Oh, no, we won't. So you can be the optimist. I'm going to be the pessimist here. And
they smear.
I know, but so I say that my 8-year-old son, I think, was prescient about the fact that at least I won't have to live under robot overlords.
Robot overlords. Except the only thing is, though, I mean, he may be prescient, but he was probably seeing that through the guise and scenarios of those games.
Video games. And
and they are made to have, like, grotesque meanies that can do everything that we know they can't do. I mean, so in a sense, the kid was making a very profound statement, but I think he didn't intend it as profoundly as you're thinking.
No, I think he meant it honestly, but and knowing him with a little bit of a joke, he's funny. So there's a little bit of a joke there. But the fact that I found it so interesting and funny what he said, that I remembered it ever since, and then my own eyes and experience are starting, and what I read are starting to tell me that he could be right.
But, I'm thinking one day, I'm like, look, let's look at something where these kinds of issues, where drama and reality are coming to play. And the most obvious one, to me, has been this whole NSA thing with spying and what have you. Now, one could say, when Snowden did what he did, and what's his name before him, the guy before him, Julian Assange, all right, many people could say, they were perfectly right, and, screw, it was difficult for governments, whether our own and British, whatever, but they was right. And our governments all could have said, Well, yeah, we got caught with our pants down, and we were bugging Princess Margaret's phone and Mrs. Merkel's phone. Weren't we naughty? But, oh, fuck, we all do it, so let's leave it at that. They couldn't move on from that, and that's why I think we're this business of human, evolution. It had to be, well, God damn it, I'm the president, or God damn it, I'm in charge of the CIA, and you're not going to trump me, which had nothing to do really with the facts. Some people could say, oh, it made, certain people got killed because of that. I mean, I don't have the evidence to say whether that was true or not. But maybe they didn't. But it was more like, hi, I'm in charge, and we're going to smack that Snowden guy. And that's not about, the electronic. It's basically human beings' hubris, not the machines, causing more problems than there even have to be. Like, I got splunkers, so like, oh, let's move on, and maybe that's not the way to do it. Let's call off the NSA.
Human beings, especially human beings with power. And let's acknowledge now that will be the militaries of the world. Or
as Dr. Strangelove said, the film company. And I would really say it's big business, not the military.
Okay, no, but, in cahoots.
In cahoots, yes. In cahoots, I agree with that.
Military-industrial complex, okay? The same thing. And they will
Aunt Jemima runs the world.
And this, would that she did.
Yeah, she did.
And this, I don't look at those constructs. Corporations, even if our Supreme Court does, as human beings. I look at them.
But they're run by human beings.
They are run by human beings, but they are entities into and of themselves.
Of themselves. They just,
they taken together, and some just taken individually, are more powerful in every way than 98% of the nations of the world.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Maybe 100% of the nations of the world.
True.
Since the nations of the world now seem to be like old media. It's a construct that doesn't work so well given the triumph of global capitalism.
Right.
And so what you have is an entirely different world, and we, the people living in it, I mean, in our world, it seems sort of the same, right? But everything's different.
No, yeah, I agree with that.
You're getting a phone call.
But it's not ringing. It's only buzzing.
It's only buzzing. All right. Well,
let me get you a funny thing. Right. I'm writing some piece for a catalog, and yesterday I would use the French term, a ballet term. That's a specific ballet term that's used in French. And this goddamn computer, I kept typing, and it kept correcting it. And at one level I was like, oh shit, but I finally figured out how to put in what I wanted. And I was thinking, but I thought, but it then shows me my typing mistakes when it is a typing error. So, what do you give up? That's a silly little micro thing, but do I have to want to go myself and have to check or spell check? It can be very useful. It can get you out of a lot of errors and... But I guess I'm agreeing with you in the sense of I have to be the one to say it is 32 fouettes en tournant.
Yeah, you stupid ass. Will you just stop? I mean, I had a thing with my computer the other day. It kept refusing to let me write. I'm trying to figure out what word it was. It's a word, God damn it. And it kept saying, apparently you mean...
Right.
Yeah, right. No,
Mine wouldn't take bodacious the other day.
Really?
Which is, I thought,
come on,
a 3-penny word, but a word nonetheless.
Okay. So, can we do a little Ferguson?
Yeah, please. Yeah, we should.
Okay. I just want to, I want to read what some of the letters to the editor have said.
Oh, can I just put one thing before you read? Did you see it? Because I didn't. The interview, I think it was ABC had
with him,
Stassinopoulos, George Stassinopoulos.
Yeah. I saw part of it.
What was it? Believable or?
He has no affect at all. I mean, when presented,
a robot,
we're talking about Darren. What's his name?
Wilson.
So when Stephanopoulos would say something like, but other witnesses said that you did this or that Michael Brown did that, he would, it's just no affect at all. He would say, that would be incorrect. It was robotic. And here's why it was robotic. He had a good, I don't know, month or so to work out a story, a script that he would not deviate from, that would get him to the point that would allow him to say, well, here, actually, I think one of these, maybe, no, this isn't where I saw this, but that would allow him to get to the point where he'd be off the hook, that he would be in fear of his life and have enough suspicion that his life was in danger where he could take deadly action.
So he never said that? Like, I was afraid, that's why I shot him.
Oh, no, he kept saying he was scared out of his friggin' mind. Boy. And here's the other weird thing. You know, when I first heard that he said, you know, when Brown grabbed him in the car, he felt like, what did he say? He felt like a little kid being grabbed by, like, I'm getting the metaphor wrong, but essentially like by Godzilla or something. I mean, he just felt like this, you know, little thing, strong man. Michael Brown was 6'4".
It was a big guy. Big guy. Pictures I've seen, yeah.
Guess how tall Darren Wilson is?
6 feet.
4.
Oh, so they weren't so.
6'4". So when I first heard that, I thought, if he was a little, whatever. Yeah, no, but if someone thinner,
is big and whatever. I'm not saying he was guilty, but
whatever. I mean, there's so many things here that cry out for a real jury trial. A grand jury, you sat on a grand jury, is not a trial jury.
No, they just say there's enough evidence to look into it. That's what the
prosecutor says to you. There's enough evidence. We want you to vote. Do you agree with us?
Agree with us, right.
That's not what this guy did, this prosecutor. He said, we're going to present evidence to you. And we want you to make the call whether we prosecute. That's how this guy
went. But that's basically what they say.
No. Yes. All the legal authorities say this guy went about it in a totally bizarre way. Also, so here's a bunch of grand jurors. They're only hearing what the prosecution wants them to hear.
That's true. No, that's right. Yeah, that's true.
How's that a trial?
Well, that's the whole process of grand jury.
And now there's not a.
The only way is I'm trying to remember how this works. If, at least in the state of New York, if a defendant chooses, they can come and present their story. And then but defense attorney can never say anything. And then the prosecutorial team can ask questions of this defendant, because I saw a couple of instances where they thought they were going to come in, I'm just a poor old lady, and then they ripped them a shred to prove this person was a monster. But no, that's the way the grand jury works.
Just some, Raymond. Stephen Hawking's talking about intelligence is like the Pope talking about astrophysics. You know, your malice toward anybody English is so bizarre, Ray.
Well, read the rest of what he has to say.
Well, fuck, how can you say such a thing?
Read the rest of it, for Christ's sake. I mean, to see his argument. You have to.
All right, I'll start over without. You see that's what you do to me. You intercede all the time, and you take me off record. Okay, I'll give Ray a total uninterrupted read. Stephen Hawking's talking about intelligence is like the Pope talking about astrophysics. Calculation is not thought. Existence is not purpose. What are you smoking this morning? Decision is not discernment. Such things need more than these technocrats can conjure. Don't fear these things. The ones building them are the ones drumming up the horror stories. Fuck them. I can barely get my phone to work regularly. Very clever.
No, but his point, basically, is, I think he's not giving Stephen
Hawking
duel.
Yeah.
But the issue is, though, I mean, he is very much someone who believes in technology and that sort of thing. And many people have brought up Ray's issue, which is, like you were saying about doctors, just because your test says you're 5.6 too much magnesium doesn't mean you're about to have a heart attack. if the doctor sort of thinks there's something that
I had too little magnesium.
Well, whatever. So now you're the specialist? Because I don't see a nurse's white hat on your pisc.
My what?
No, pisc is face. I was wrong. Your caput.
Chuck writes, with Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday coming up this weekend, technology and security professionals, I am one, by the way, are busy making sure that you can successfully buy that Barbie doll online and not worry about that Russian hacker stealing your debit card information. Right now, there are armies of technology professionals amassing on the front lines of cyber terrorism as the busiest online shopping weekend approaches. And there are armies of hackers from around the globe who already have their sniffer programs in place, waiting for their chance to make the next big grab of so-called secure information. It is more the case now than it has ever been. Man is serving the machine without a doubt.
True, but the question is, men are the ones who want all that information. Maybe not the hackers, but Target wants to know you like green beans and you don't like, broccoli. So man is telling the machine what to do.
I'll read you some of what letter writers have said about Ferguson.
Okay, please.
If Michael Brown had been white, would he be alive today? Would the officer have found a maybe non-lethal way to handle the situation? Would that 12-year-old with a toy gun in Cleveland be alive today had he been white? Would George Zimmerman have been acquitted if Trayvon Martin had been white? And, in fact, would he have stalked him in the first place? For how many police and prosecutors and jurors is a black life worth less than a white life? I think that's a hell. Those are great questions.
Yeah, it's an indictment.
Great questions. And here again, in terms of lethal force, a number of writers say, why do we go immediately to lethal force with all the
tasers,
with all the gizmos that can stop somebody dead in their tracks, but not dead?
But not dead, right?
Why the hell aren't we giving cops those weapons? And that's what this guy from New York says. He's a former federal prosecutor too. He says, in Star Trek, Captain Kirk famously commanded set phasers to stun.
Right.
But why does this remain a science fiction fantasy when you damn well know we can do it?
Well, because what's interesting is when you say that, I remember this little bit I did see on the news last night after the verdict or the night before. The head of police of that city said, well, Wilson, and at this point he wasn't even talking about,
he didn't carry a taser.
Well, no. But he was saying this. It is our policy that if such and such, you do shoot. So he was basically saying that is the policy.
Well, I think these policies have to be...
Well, I think, the really complicated thing in all of this is that person's questions were absolutely right on target, especially just enumerating some of those. The problem gets in, and I don't know whether Wilson was guilty or innocent of this. Because one of the things that I only heard when they read the prosecutor or whatever, not prosecutor, the clerk of the city of Ferguson.
No, that was the prosecutor.
No. It was the clerk of the court of whatever who read when it was first announced. It wasn't the prosecutor.
Yes, it was.
You sure?
Yeah. The guy who went on forever and ever and ever. Okay, no, that was McCulloch. Right.
But he made the point, for example, of people saying that the young man was shot in the back when there were no bullet holes in his back, et cetera, et cetera. I think one needs to separate. In certain instances, we do know that everything that man asks is true, that there is a pre-indisposition towards people of color in this country, et cetera. That doesn't necessarily mean that certain people of color aren't guilty or did shoot a gun, et cetera. And in this moment, I think what the president said very articulately that night was that, we need to realize some people are going to accept this verdict and some people are very upset about it. We have to look at the facts, but also while we're doing that in this specific instance, look at this malaise that sits and has sat over our country for many, many, many decades. But the two are not one and the same, though.
So you can't do it.
Well, all right.
We seem incapable of learning, of being able.
Maybe that's where machines can help.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point, I think, what I was trying to say before. Where does our wonderful subjectivity screw us up? And when does sometimes the clarity of a machine, now maybe only on certain issues, maybe only to count your blood, magnesium, or to know when there's too much gases in the air, etc. But there are times when subjectivity is important, and there are times when you don't want subjectivity.
Well, there are times when you cannot avoid subjectivity.
Well, fair enough. I don't disagree with that.
And most human interaction. I mean, it's...
well,
there's
it's like saying
grays.
If there had been 12 different people on that grand jury, it might have been a different verdict, even if it was a different tally in terms of race.
That grand jury was fed only information that would lead them to the conclusion that they should exonerate Darren Wilson.
Well, but that's how all...
No. It goes quite the opposite way. Darren Wilson was the guy who was to be charged. And grand juries, prosecutorial weapon is you charge someone with a crime.
Right.
What this guy did was he acted as Wilson's defense attorney, and he did not allow any counter to what his script and story was, because he didn't have to.
Well, but that's how grand juries work. In my experience, the prosecutors...
No, but the prosecutors after a prosecution... 99% of every, and you said in your own, you said yes. Okay, we're indicting this guy. Right. We're charging that guy. We're charging that guy. We're charging that guy. This prosecutor totally turned it around so that he would not get a charge out of the jury. So this was outrageous. And the people who are now plowing through all of the questions that were asked are saying it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing how his people led Darren Wilson.
Well, what's also interesting, what I remember
and jumped all over witnesses who didn't fit into their
What's also interesting, this I do remember very specifically, is they tell you what you vote on is the charge that the judge gives you, because there's a judge there. And also, the other important thing is they will read when they say this person could be indicted for such and such, they will say the law 66.52A, and it's very, very, very specific. But then the other interesting thing was, because I remember I asked a question once, but at various points before you vote, you're allowed to ask questions. So you put your hand up and you don't just say, Mr. President, blah, 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 blah. The guy comes up to you, or woman, and you say, well, why, didn't they ask why he had a yellow bandana when someone, and they will say, that is not a question for this. And a few times we would say, when we were deliberating, well, I thought that was a good question. So then the bailiff would come. And we're saying, well, we're arguing about the, so she'd go, I went and asked, but that's how it works.
But here's how it works. A grand jury is essentially supposed to be a bunch of yes men for the prosecution. Yeah. You're just supposed to say yes, 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 yes.
But the other side of that, though, is if you then bring it to a real courtroom and a real trial, then you have both sides, the prosecution and the defense.
Which is what Michael Brown deserved.
Yeah,
he deserved a trial,
a
public trial, where he got to be represented as well, his point of view and the point of view of others, and that's what this jerk.
I'd be curious to see that, because I say that's the way I saw it.
I don't know about the words
of what this.
Odds are a jury trial would still acquit. But
then it would have clarified for everyone that there was no skullduggery.
Whatever.
Or just very clever
happy, but that's
tampering or whatever,
Okay, well, guys, that's it.
Let me say one quick thing, if you know. Have they yet said anything? I know they're not supposed to talk. and even after the fact, but sometimes they'll get a jury and say, well,
no.
really? No, they haven't yet.
No.
They probably will find someone.
No. If those guys know what's good for them, they will stay very
Roseanne
low.
Scammerdella will come in and ferret it out if she's around anymore. She used to be on the news or something here in Pittsburgh. Or was that in New York? Maybe it was New York, Roseanne Scammerdella.
No one here.
I always loved her name.
That's it for us. Tomorrow, have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Be thankful for this day where we, under the guise of these monster computers, are pouncing on us and taking away our individual freedom.
Thanksgiving
but
is
God
so
is
human.
Still there. Yeah,
Fight with your family.
Yes.
Get angry. Storm out. Have, whatever.
Have
Eat
a debate. Dark meat versus white meat.
Oh, dark meat.
Or latkes versus Hummentasche.
Latkes. Yeah.
There's a big debate.
We've got to go.
All right, goodbye.
I got to. And Sokolowski's leaving us for the next 2 weeks.
And she'll be so glad there'll be no one here to carp and contain her.
And I'll be back on Monday. We're taking the 4-day weekend. We'll be back Monday, and I'm back in the saddle, guys. I seriously am. I can tell, because Sokolowski was driving me crazy, and that's a definite sign of health on my part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.